っていきたいと思います。私は、NPO 法人アースウォーカーズで代表をしている児玉直也と言います。
So my name is Kodama Naoya, and I'm a head person of the NPO Ask Workers.
福島の原発事故の後、2011年に福島の子どもたちのサポートを始めました。
After the earthquakes in Fukushima, 2011, I have started to supporting children in Fukushima.
福島の子どもたちが放射能の影響で外で遊べない子どもたちがいて、みんな家の中で生活することしかできない子たちがいっぱいいました。
So back in 2011, there are a lot of children who couldn't stay outside because of the atomic bomb accident, because of the influence of the nuclear plant accident, and we've been supporting children to stay outside or play outside since then.
30年ほど前にあった原子力発電所チェルノブイリの事故の後、ドイツのいろんな NGO がチェルノブイリの子たちをドイツに招待して開催する保養プロジェクトがいろんなところで始まっていって、でその保養プロジェクトに参加した子どもたちががんになるリスクが下がっているという統計が出始めました。
So after the nuclear plant accident back in 19th in Chernobyl, there's a statistic that shows
甲状腺がんになる人が減っていく、ドイツに来た人が。
Okay. So then some of the NPOs in Germany have been invited a lot of children from Chernobyl, and it turns out those who came to Germany had less possibility of having the cancer. So, yeah.
それを知った福島のお母さんたちが、福島の子どもたちも福島から外に出して放射能の被曝する量を減らしたいと考える人が増えていって、日本でも保養プロジェクトが始まっていきました。
So this project was also inspired by that, and since some of the parents have been interested to see like how this can also help children in Fukushima, and then they decided to let their children go to Germany just to have some positive impact after the serious accident.
僕は福島から1900キロほど南に行った宮崎県出身であります。
I'm from the 1,900 kilometers south. It's called Miyazaki Prefecture. Maybe some of you know it.
福島の6歳以下の子どもたち、キンデガーデンなのかな、6歳以下の子どもたちを宮崎に連れて行くプロジェクトを始めていきました。
So I started to make a project where children who is like younger than 6 years old, to let them go to Miyazaki from Fukushima.
その子どもたちが宮崎に来て落ち葉を拾いながらリュックサックに詰めていました。
And in that project, I saw the children picking the leaves. Yeah, picking leaves from the trees.
僕なぜと聞いたら、福島には放射能というばい菌が降ってて、落ち葉にも芝生にも木にも虫にも触っちゃいけないと 聞きました。
I was so wondering why do they do so, and then just asked why, and then they answered that because they were told that all the leaves or the bugs on the trees are so got influence from the accident, so they couldn't touch that or feel that. Yeah, that's what I found.
宮崎に来て久しぶりに落ち葉に触った楽しかったから、これを保育園の友達に持って帰っていいですかって言って、かおりちゃんの分、かずみちゃんの分、めぐみちゃんの分って言ってプレゼントとして落ち葉を持って帰っている子供たちがいました。
And then there were children who asked me if they could carry the leaves to their hometown, Fukushima, so that they can share their experience or what they have, like what they. It's a so picking leaves are also really special moment to them, and then they thought it's special souvenir for the other friends in Fukushima.
子供たちが初めて落ち葉に触ったり、初めて芝生の上を裸足で歩いたり、初めて砂浜の上を裸足で歩いたりして、いろんな初めての体験で子供たちはすごい笑顔になっていったのを覚えています。
I clearly remember the time when they are all so smiling because they can easily run on the beach and play outside. So it was so special and something that couldn't ever experience back in Fukushima.
今でもその時のことを考えると、涙が溢れてきますけど、宮崎からの1週間の体験の後、明日からまた落ち葉に触れないとか、外に出て遊べないという状況の子どもたちを送り出すのがすごく辛かったです。
Whenever I think about that experience, I got so emotional, and it was really sad for me to say goodbye to the children who are going back to Fukushima. They cannot touch on the ground and run with barefoot. So it's all the experience got me so emotional.
そのプロジェクトから波及して小学生の7歳から12歳までのプロジェクトが始まり、中学生の13歳から15歳までのプロジェクトが始まり、そして高校生の16歳から18歳のプロジェクトが始まっていきました。
It motivates me to expand our project. So for those who are between 7 and 12 years old, and also the project for those who are 13 and 15 years old.
で、2013年に東日本大震災から2年後ですね、このドイツに来るプロジェクトは、実はこの jdzb の、日独ベルリンセンターのやっていたタケノコプロジェクトという助成金をアースウォーカーズはもらって初めてドイツに来るのができたのは2013年です。
After 2 years from the earthquakes in Fukushima, we could manage to come here thankfully because of the subsidy from, it's called Takenova project from jdzb.
そのプロジェクトが始まって毎年続いてきた、コロナでできなかった年もありますが、すみません、そういう予約席なんですよ。前お願いします。お願いします。ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。それで始まっていったプロジェクトが続いてきて、今年が第10回目になります。コロナでできなかった年もあるので。で、今日、8人の高校生たちがやってきてるんですけど、ちょっと1人風邪をひいてホテルで休んでるので、 今日は7人の高校生たちが今からスピーチするので聞いてください。
So this time it's gonna be intense project here in Germany because during the Corona time we couldn't do that. And today 8 students are doing presentations. Although no, today we are 7 students are doing presentations. So 1 student couldn't come because he's sick now.
では最初にスピーチする吉田かりんさんを紹介します。
So firstly, we'll introduce Yoshida Karin. Yep.
Hello everyone, my name is Karin. I have a question. Do you have any memories from when you were 2 years old? Anybody? Oh, thank you. I do, because that was the year the great earthquake and nuclear power plant accident happened. Today, I would like to share my experiences at that time and afterwards with you. I even so clearly remember the day of the earthquake, but I don't remember some things. In the next few hours, a big earthquake happened. After that, the water was shut off and the power went out. So many big shocks happened at once that I may have lost my memory. After that, my memory remains. During the day, we spent time at my grandpa's house where the power was out. At night, we spent time at a relative's house where there was water and electricity. And at my relative's house, I was able to take a bath. At night, I could sleep with a meteorite bourbon as usual. It was reassuring to have even a faint light. But I was thinking that I was in a strange dream. The next day, the nuclear accident happened. However, when the nuclear accident happened, I was at my grandpa's house, where the power and the water supply were still cut off. We couldn't watch TV, only the radio. I didn't know what had happened. A few days later, I returned to my house, and my family also came back from the evacuation center. There were many hard things in my life after that. I was also scared of the frequent aftershocks and the emergency alarms that sounded every earthquake. Also, the loud voice of my family nearby telling me to hide under the table. Because of this, I could help but worry every day that something would happen. After the nuclear accident, I was forbidden from touching anything in nature because the radiation that fell on Fukushima has negative effects on the human body. So when I went out, I always had to wear long sleeves, long trousers, a mask, and a hat to avoid being exposed to radiation, which made it hard to move around. And I remember finding it especially hot in the summer which I really hated. Also, my mother would severely scold me for even touching soil, leaves, or flowers. I had a strong desire to be able to play freely in nature. So, I took part in restorative excursion for children. Restorative excursion for children by Earth Walkers many times. One of the most memorable experiences I had was planting rice, but I was 6 years old. I went barefoot into the rice field and planted the rice with my bare hand. In Fukushima, we avoided touching soil because of the radiation fallout. When I first touched the soil, I was surprised at the feeling. But I had imagined that rice fields would be cold. But when I put my feet in, I was surprised at how warm it was. I remember feeling very strange because there were clumps of soil and paths there were roots. It was hard to keep my balance, so I ended up falling on my bottom in the rice field. At that moment, I thought my mother would be angry. She would usually scold me for falling on the ground because there was radiation in Fukushima. However, my mother didn't get angry and just asked me, "Are you okay?" Earth Walkers project was a refreshing experience for both my mother and me because I could play outside freely without worrying about radiation. I went outside of Fukushima Prefecture with Earth Walkers for another project. I was able to practice riding a bicycle, which was not possible in Fukushima. I was very happy when I could ride a bike for the first time. I had many experiences at Earth Walkers, and I have want to do something for others. I would like to think about what I can continue to do and take action. Finally, I have a question one more time. Do you have any memories from when you were 2 years old? Anybody? Thank you. There are probably not many people who have memories of the time like I do. So I went to take care of this memory. Now that 14 years have passed, since the earthquake. More and more people don't know what happened. When earthquake happened, I'd like to share to the people what the situation was like at the time. Thank you for listening. ります。
Guten Tag. My name is Yuri. I live in Fukushima. I will start my speech now. Have you ever suddenly lost your daily life or a place where you play? I had experience in a Great East Japan earthquake. I couldn't play outside freely, and many places to play were taken away. During that time, I joined a project called Hoyo, which provided restorative excursions in radiation-free areas. Many people gave me smiles and courage. Kind words, kind eyes. The time we laughed together. Play in the snow, apple picking, rice planting, play in the sea. Being in nature was very special for me. I went to many prefectures. I experienced the variety of local culture and nature. I made many memories and met many people. The time has become a special treasure. And what I remember the most is the volunteers. The older boys and girls who came as volunteers were always kind. They played with us a lot and we had fun together. When I was hurt during Hoyo, when I felt lonely without my mom and dad, they stayed with me and their kindness made me feel safe. I wanna stay with them more. I want to talk with them more. I remember feeling very sad every time we said goodbye. They are very special to me, and I thought, I wanna be like them someday. When I became a junior high school student, that feeling turned into action. I became a volunteer for the restorative excursions program and started going on trips with our children. At first, it was difficult to switch from being a participant to a volunteer. There are many children in Hoyo program. They are nervous, shy, naughty, sometimes get in trouble. I talk a lot to shy children and tried to see them carefully. In that way, I became able to take action by myself. I learned how to help so that every child can have fun and feel safe. Sometimes I was able to lead the group and make the whole atmosphere happy and bright. When our children saw me like that, they began to think of me as a reliable big sister. That became my greatest joy. I feel that I have slowly become like the volunteers I admired when I was a child participant. I used the experience I gained from volunteering. In my research class in junior high school, we worked on a project about Tomioka town in Futaba district, Fukushima prefecture. Before the earthquake, about 16,000 people lived in Tomioka town. Because of the earthquake and the nuclear accident, the population has dropped a lot. Now become like 2,000 people live there. The problem was that the connection between people in the town was getting weaker. I planned an event to help people in the town talk and spend time together. I joined the town event called the Community Interaction Cafe. Smiles and connections were made across generations. In the survey, most of the people said, "It was fun. I want to come again." They answered so. Through this experience, I realized even students' ideas can bring change to the community. I learned what it means to be rooted in the community. It has been 14 years since the earthquake. But in Fukushima, the effects of the earthquake and the nuclear accident are still continuing, especially in Futaba district. Evacuation orders and the difficulty for residents to return. There are many problems. On the other hand, at the same time, recovery is slowly progressing. New buildings, well-maintained roads and facilities, and I have met many people who hope to live in Futaba again, and they work hard to make it happen. Fukushima is the sea, the mountains, the lakes. It has a lot of nature and the bonds between people. It is a place full of warmth. Fukushima is not just going back to how it was. It is trying to move in a new way, not forgetting the disaster. And telling others how people in Fukushima feel now. I think it is an important thing we can do from now on. Now, I joined the Earth Workers project in Germany. When I was in elementary school, I was a member of their restorative program that supported me through nature experiences. Now, I am here as a person who tells these stories. Through this Germany project, I want to look at Fukushima again from outside. I want to learn how to express myself in my own words. By listening to my story, I don't wish for you to just feel sorry for me. The current situation of Fukushima is the charm, the existence of wonderful places in Japan. I want to share them with the world. And in the future, I want to go to become a person who can share ideas well in any field. Thank you for listening.
For this project, he made so much effort to improve his pronunciations and all the grammar. So, yeah, we effort and.
Hello, my name is Honami. Today, I'd like to talk about my opinion about the Great East Japan earthquake and Japan's renewable energy. Japan has many songs that were made with the Great East Japan earthquake in mind. I sang one of such songs in my school festival. The title is Gunjo. The Gunjo means the beautiful blue color of Fukushima Ocean. The song was made by a teacher who was working when the disaster happened. The song includes the students' feelings about people. The song includes the students' feelings about the experience of the disaster. They got separated from their friends and their loved ones. When I listened to the song for the first time, I felt it was just beautiful. But as I learned the lyrics, I realized that it contains the earnest feelings of people my age, so it reminded me my own experience of the disaster. The lyric is this: I'm sure we will meet again. Let's meet in our town. Our promise will never disappear. Blue Bond. Let's meet in our blue town. The Great East Japan Earthquake. The big earthquake brought serious damage. Earthquake, tsunami, power outage, nuclear accident. People are forced to evacuate because of the increasing radiation level, and the fight with the invisible radioactive substance continues even now. The other day, I heard a story of a woman who experienced a disaster near the nuclear power plant. She was a mother with 3 children. According to her story, the people who lived over 20 kilometers from the nuclear power plant couldn't get the compensation for the evacuees from nuclear power plant accident. This created a disparity. People are stressed out and domestic violence happened a lot. Because of the nuclear power plant accident, a rumor that the people who lived near the disaster happened were dirty with radiation spread, and the evacuated children were bullied. Even though there was a dangerous level of radiation, the people who lived near the nuclear power plant didn't know about it. When she was evacuating with her children, she was afraid. Over 20,000 people died due to the tsunami. I went to the place where the tsunami reached. There aren't any buildings or residents, and I heard just wave sounds. I had a sad feeling. When I heard her story, I thought the Japanese government should have given subsidies to the people who lost work, house, and family, no matter the distance from the nuclear power plant. Because of the nuclear power plant accident, Fukushima Prefecture increased solar and wind power. Also, I thought school should teach students how to recognize information as true or false like Germany. However, large areas of forests are cut down to install solar panels. I often see such places. Because of this, a landslide happened. It's supposed to be an eco-friendly power generation method, but it is not easy. It sometimes has a bad effect on the environment, and conflicts with residents happen and so on. In addition, recently, a wind power plant's wing dropped down, and a man crashed under it. For installing renewable energy, there are many problems. Japan's renewable energy percentage is 20%. It's so low compared to abroad. Switching to renewable energy is not going well. I heard Germany's renewable energy percentage is high. I want to know how Germany switched to renewable energy. Thank you.
Guten Tag. I'm Yukino. I'm 15 years old and I came from Fukushima. Please listen to my speech. I experienced the Great East Japan earthquake, but I was only 1 year old at the time, so I have no memories of it. This time, by participating in this project, I had the valuable experience of hearing my father's earthquake experience. Please listen to my father's earthquake experience. At the time of the earthquake, I was having a conversation with a client at my workplace. About a month before the earthquake, there was another quake, so I thought it would be similar in shaking. However, the tremors gradually became more intense. The shaking was so strong that it was impossible to walk straight. After the shaking, the emergency buzzer on my phone went off. About 10 people nearby also had their buzzers go off simultaneously, and a sudden sense of tension swept through everyone. The company president told everyone to evacuate outside, but I went back to check the gas stove to ensure that a fire wouldn't start. Since I headed in the opposite direction of the evacuation, the people around me were surprised and asked, "Where are you going?" After checking the gas stove, I went outside. Items on the desk had fallen. The floor was so cluttered with scattered papers. There was hardly any space to step. Finally stepping outside, I noticed that the asphalt road was cracked in several places. The manhole is sticking out about 30 centimeters above the asphalt, having broken through it. It was sticking out so much. My colleagues saw a news report on their cell phone saying, "Tsunami has arrived." I finally learned about the situation in my hometown. I never thought a tsunami would come to my town. On my way home, the road was filled with traffic congestion. Many roads were flooded by the tsunami. I took the road on the mountainside rather than the seaside. When I entered my town, the buildings throughout the area had been destroyed by the tsunami, and it was covered with debris and mud. Because of that, the road leading to my house was also closed to traffic. Additionally, there were fires burning in about 3 or 4 houses, and I had no choice but to my car on a nearby road and walked. Finally, I arrived home, but my leather shoes were covered with mud. It seems that about the middle of tsunami water entered inside the house as well, and the inside of the house was a mess with furniture knocked over and scattered everywhere. That night, I evacuated to my relative's house in the mountains nearby. But the fire was still burning. The road in front of the house was filled with debris, approximately 3 to 5 meters high. The distance from my relative's house to my home is about 10 minutes. My home was safe, but the smell from the fire still lingered. When walking around the neighborhood, the areas affected by the tsunami, by the waves, had collapsed houses. And there were places where cars were on top of the houses. As I moved from the downstream to the midstream of the river, there were also places where cars were stuck. At that moment, I truly realized the terrifying power of nature. In the evening, the television reported that TEPCO had experienced a nuclear power plant explosion. I became worried about whether I had been exposed to radiation from the nuclear accident. For the first time, I learned what happened through my father's story. The anxiety caused by invisible radiation must have been significant. Unfortunately, the damage from false rumors and misinformation has not disappeared, and that is the reality. However, the earthquake and disaster are not only about loss. Because of the disaster, I'm here now and am able to have this valuable experience. I want to pass on these kind of experiences not only within Japan but also to the world. I hope that this speech will spark interest in Fukushima and Japan. Thank you for listening.
Guten Tag. My Name ist Yui. Hello everyone. My name is Yui. I'm very happy to be part of this program in Germany. Thank you for this opportunity. I have a dog, a mutual dachshund, a German dog. I'm proud to have a little bit of Germany at home. One of my hobbies is watching Japanese anime and Disney movies. I also try to watch movies in English with English subtitles. I'm excited to learn how Germany produces energy, especially from renewable sources. I learned that about 63% of Germany's electricity comes from renewable energy. Why in Japan, it is only 23%. This big difference surprised me deeply. It made me realize how serious Germany is about protecting the environment. I want to understand how their renewable energy works and bring some ideas back to Japan. When the Great East Japan earthquake happened, I was only 1 year old, so I do not remember it. But I want to learn what really happened and what problems people faced. When I talked to my parents, they said, "It was a very painful experience for all of us. It was hard, But we survived. We stood strong. Houses were destroyed by the earthquake. Towns were washed away by the tsunami. After the nuclear accident, some people faced unfair treatment when they moved away. Imagine living in that situation. How would you feel? It is hard to even imagine. Still, parents protected their children with love, even though they faced many hardships, including restrictions from radiation and living away from home. This June, I visited a disaster-affected area in Fukushima. There were yellow signs with red letters saying, "Do not enter." The road continued, but we could not go farther. The wind whispered through the tall grass. The air was heavy and quiet. No laughter, no voices, only silence. The silence made me feel very sad. I'm grateful for the kindness and support people have shown each other during these hard times. It was a moment I will never forget. My heart hurt deeply to see this. The road goes on, but we cannot on it. I realized I didn't really understand the real situation of the disaster. I often hear people say, Fukushima is recovering. In fact, some areas around the station are well maintained. Clean roads, new restaurants. If you only see this, it looks like everything is fine. But walk a little farther. Empty houses, overgrown grass, no people. I wondered, has Fukushima really recovered? It has been 14 years since the earthquake. Now, even people in Fukushima do not know everything about it. Visiting the disaster area made me ask, what is true recovery? How can we help? Not only, but also the earth. I believe taking action on climate change and energy is key to our future. Germany is not just talking about change. It is taking action on change. I believe we young people have the power to change our future, one step at a time. Before I end, I want to say this. The opposite of love isn't hate or anger. It's indifference, not caring. The saddest thing after a disaster is being forgotten. Forgotten by the world. Forgotten by time. Forgotten by people. So I will remember. I will care. And I will act for Fukushima, for the earth, and for our future. Let us remember. Let us care together. Let us move forward together. Dankeschön. Thank you.
Guten Tag. My name is Taiki. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Fukushima, Japan. Please call me Taiki. I'm going to talk about the natural disaster. The Great East Japan earthquake happened when I was 1 year old. March 11th, 2011 changed the life of many people in Japan. A great tsunami hit the coastal region of East Japan and following the nuclear power plant accident. Have you ever heard the nuclear power plant accident? Dankeschön. I want to share my thoughts on the difficulty of recovery from the natural disaster. My house is located 90 kilometers away from the site of the nuclear power plant accident. In Fukushima, there is a museum called the Earthquake and Nuclear Disaster Memorial Museum, located 5 kilometers from the accident site. To convey information about it, in the museum, there are many photos. There are many videos, photos, and detailed information from the time of the earthquake. I was very shocked to see the video of the tsunami, with cars and houses being swept away. There were exhibits of many road signs that changed shape due to the tsunami, and mailboxes that had been broken still attached with concrete. I felt scared of the tsunami. I heard the story from the storyteller. She told the day of the earthquake story with tears in her eyes. What I learned from the story is that since it was a disaster that had never occurred before, they might not have known what to do. And now, some parts of Futaba are still inaccessible. The area was still like a ghost town. No people, no rebuilt houses. Only signs warning people to stay out. And on the way back, I saw countless black bags filled with contaminated soil. 5 years after my first visit, I visited there again. There are places where the repairs are completed. Mixed with places that have not been repaired at all. Some places changed. Futaba station was reopened and the train was running again. But once I walked away from the station, many areas still looked abandoned. I thought it's difficult to recover perfectly from the damage. Also, I heard from my grandfather, a fruit farmer, that he couldn't sell his fruits because of harmful rumors. that made me shocked. The peaches and apples he grows are very delicious. But at that time, nobody brought them because they were from Fukushima. Children in Fukushima have taken the thyroid examination every year since the accident. We lie down on a bed, have cold gel applied to our necks, and taken an ultrasound for the examination. I have thought that it was something all children across Japan take. However, when I became a high school student, I learned the shocking fact that only children in Fukushima, where the nuclear accident occurred, were being taken the thyroid examination. That made me shocked. Dankeschön. やべえ、原稿バラバラにしとった。
Guten Tag. Thank you for being here today. My name is Teku Nishimura. I was born and raised in Hiroshima. Children in Hiroshima learn about peace from a young age. Every year on August 6th, the Memorial Day of the atomic bombing, we all go to school and observe a moment of silence together. I visited the Atomic Bomb Dome and the Peace Memorial Museum many times. Fragments of buildings blown away by the bomb. Torn up clothes, lunch boxes turned into charcoal. Actually, seeing these things made me feel the horror of the atomic bomb. My great-grandmother is a hibakusha. Hibakusha refers to people who were exposed to radiation. She was only 19 years old at that time. She was working at Army Warehouse as a military volunteer. 1945, August 6th. She heard a siren early morning and went outside the warehouse. At 8:15 a.m., in an instant, the warehouse was completely flattened by the blast of the bomb. She said if she had been inside, she wouldn't have survived. The warehouse was 7 kilometers away from the ground zero. However, the blast of the bomb reached the warehouse. It shows how powerful and destructive the bomb was. After that, she helped take care of people who had been burned and brought into an elementary school for treatment. Labels of different colors were placed on the victims, depending on how likely they were to survive. Those who were most likely to survive were treated first. However, the medicine and bandages ran out quickly. Therefore, there was a limit to what they could do. After that, I heard all these stories from my family, but I also vaguely remember her telling me the story about the black rain. The black rain that fell after the bombing was filled with deadly radiation. People who were directly exposed suffered from acute radiation syndrome, such as hair loss, blood vomit, and developed leukemia. Some people, desperately thirsty after the bombing, believed the black rain was a blessing from the sky and drank it, only to lose their lives because of the radiation it contained. There were a large number of people who suffered the damage caused by the nuclear weapons. And there are people still suffering today. When I first started learning about peace, to be honest, the atomic bomb felt unreal to me. It was like a story from a distant past. However, it turns out that I'm a fourth generation hibakusha. This fact helped me better understand the true horror of the atomic bomb, as well as the deep mental trauma it left on the survivors. Therefore, as a student from Hiroshima, I strongly feel that we must continue to carry these stories to the future generations and believe in a future without nuclear weapons. In the future, I hope to work in the sports industry, which plays an important role in Hiroshima's economy. Since I was little, I have played baseball, and sports have always been a part of my life. My father is working for the Hiroshima Toyo Cup, a baseball team deeply rooted in our community. And that also inspired my interest. These experiences made me want to contribute to my hometown through sports. Hiroshima lost its urban functions as a result of atomic bomb. However, the founding of the baseball team gave the people of Hiroshima a ray of hope. What makes it more special is that the team was not supported by large corporations, but by donations from the citizens. Currently, Hiroshima has grown as a sports powerhouse with many professional sports teams, such as football, basketball, and volleyball. However, in recent years, Hiroshima has been facing a serious issue. Many young people are leaving the prefecture. From 2021 to 2024, it had the highest number of people moving out somewhere in Japan for 4 consecutive years. As a result, we are seeing a decline in both spectators and participants in sports. In addition, several social issues have come to light, such as aging sports facilities, delayed efforts toward gender equality and diversity, and the lack of proper infrastructure to support these challenges. As someone who has grown up with sports since childhood, it is heartbreaking to see the sports industry, which has walked alongside Hiroshima's recovery, now facing the risk of decline. I want to go to university to study topics such as regional revitalization, which are closely connected to my future. I hope to think deeply about what I can do for my hometown, which I truly love, and take action to help make it an even better place. I will continue to work hard toward that goal. Thank you for listening.
So from now on, we'll do our Q&A section, and before we start, we'll show you a video.
Darf auf der Atombombe durch die USA auf Hiroshima und Nagasaki am 6. bzw. 9. August 1945 kostete über 200.000 Menschen das Leben. Rund 50 Menschen kamen zur Friedensdemo und zum Gedenken an die Opfer mit einer Mahnwache an der Friedensglocke in Frankfurt-Oder. Auch auf dem Hiroshima-Nagasaki-Platz in Potsdam wurde an die Abwürfe erinnert. Die Friedensaktivisten mahnten zur atomaren Abrüstung. Ja, nach Hiroshima und Nagasaki lautete die Botschaft nie wieder. Doch 80 Jahre nach der Atombombe droht dieses Ziel ins Wanken zu geraten. Die großen Atommächte, allen voran USA, Russland, China, modernisieren ihre Atomarsenale. Auch in Berlin drückten heute Teilnehmer einer Gedenkveranstaltung ihre Sorge genau darüber aus und erinnerten an die vielen Opfer, die die beiden Bomben gefordert hatten.
Der 17-jährige Teku Nishimura aus Hiroshima will heute die Geschichte seiner Uroma erzählen. Er ist zusammen mit anderen Schülern aus Japan für eine Bildungsreise nach Deutschland gekommen. Schüler in Hiroshima lernen von klein auf, was damals passiert ist und wie wichtig Frieden ist. Deshalb bedeutet mir der Gedenktag heute sehr, sehr viel. Am 6. August 1945, also vor genau 80 Jahren, hatten die USA eine Atombombe auf Hiroshima abgeworfen. Zehntausende Menschen starben sofort, Hunderttausende litten und leiden an den Folgeschäden. So wie Teku Nishimuras Urgroßmutter.
My great-grandma is actually Hibakusha.
Meine Uroma war eine Hibakusha. So nennen wir in Japan Menschen, die der Strahlung der Atombomben ausgesetzt waren. Ich bin also ein Hibakusha in der 4. Generation.
So, I'm a 4th generation Hibakusha.
Organisiert wird die Veranstaltung von der Friedensglockengesellschaft Berlin, einem Verein aus dem Umfeld der Friedensbewegung.
Es ist wichtig, dass wir in der Öffentlichkeit wollen Geld ist Leben und nicht ein Sterben.
Die Berliner BSW-Co-Landeschefin Josephine Thüré hält eine Rede, der regierende Bürgermeister Kai Wegner schickt ein Grußwort. Berlin habe mit seiner Geschichte eine besondere Verantwortung, sich für Frieden und für eine Welt ohne Atomwaffen einzusetzen. Ich bin etwas nervös. Ich habe noch nie vor so vielen Menschen gesprochen. Ich hoffe, es wird gut. Für den Anfang seiner Rede hat sich der 17-Jährige deshalb etwas Besonderes überlegt.
Guten Tag.
Teko Nishimuras Urgroßmutter war 19 Jahre alt, als die Atombombe auf Hiroshima abgeworfen wurde. Sie überlebte, litt aber bis zu ihrem Lebensende 2009 an den Strahlenschäden. Als ein Schüler aus Hiroshima fühle ich ganz fest, dass wir die Geschichte an künftige Generationen weitertragen müssen. Ich glaube fest an eine Zukunft ohne Atomwaffen. Zum Schluss lassen die Schüler aus Japan Luftballons mit Wünschen aufsteigen. Teko Nishimura träumt von einem Job in der Sportindustrie und von einer Zukunft ohne Atomwaffen.
Dankeschön.それでは今から質疑応答に入っていきたいと思います。何か聞きたいことがあることとか感想とか何でもいいので手を挙げてお願いします。
So now we will do a Q&A section. If you have any questions or any comment about their speech, so please free to share it. And yep.
How do you face fear or bad feelings other people have when they face people like Bakusha or survivors of the Fukushima accident? How do you face the situation? How do you say to them, I'm not sick, I'm not a bad person? What do you do?
So I just want to clarify that your question is about how do people overcome the severe earthquake, or like what's exactly the reason by that?
You overcome the, I don't know the English words, stigmata, stigmata from the accident and from the bombing, yeah, other people have against you.
その自分たちがその広島での原爆だったり福島でのこの原発事故を経験した立場として他の人から偏見だったりを受けることもあると思うんですけど、それらの課題に対して自分たちがなんかどうやって向き合っていたりしますかってことを聞きたいみたいです。
英語でください、英語でください。日本語の人に
はい。私の大おばさんが実際に果物農家をやっていて、放射線の影響を受けない地域、福島県でも放射能の私の大おばさんが実際に果物農家をやっていて、震災当時福島県内の中でも放射能の被害を受けない場所で育てていたんですけれど、それでも風評被害っていうものは実際にあって、ビニールハウスの中で育てていたキノコ、実際には放射能が降っていたとしても必ず当たっていない場所にあるキノコでも売れなくなって倒産してしまった場所があったりだとか、実際に福島県の ナンバープレートを車につけて海外じゃない他県外に行くとすごい風評被害にあっていじめられるっていうことであったりとか、実際にそういう風評被害はあったとのことなんですけれど、それに対してはもう言って広めていくしかない、言って浸透させてなんとか納得してもらうしかないっていうふうに私は考えています。
So my great aunt was actually engaging in with like fruit fruit plantation, and even though her area was far away from the radiation and it didn't have any effect from the accident, but because of the rumor or the fake news, she couldn't do her business anymore. And also, whenever she drive the car with a number plate which comes from Fukushima, some people see that really negatively, even though it had nothing to do with radiations. And back then, she was having so difficulty to overcoming that moment. But only thing we could do is just to tell people it's not true, and to persuade people that don't try to don't try to just believe what other people are saying, just see the truth. That's how we could overcome the hardship. Yep.
First of all, thank you for your stories. You did a great job. And my question is for the gentleman in the white shirt. Yes. You mentioned treatment where they check your neck and everything. Thank you. So you mentioned the treatment where they check your neck. What are they looking for? Are they looking for tumors or what exactly? And do you still have to do it when you're working, or is it just during school time? Thank you.
まずはじめに全員の素敵なスピーチありがとうございました。で、特にあなたに質問があります。放射線の影響で首の検査を受けることがあった、毎年受けることがあったとおっしゃっていましたが、それは、特に何のために行われているのでしょうか。また、将来働く時もそういった検査を受ける必要があるのか、今後について何か分かっていることがあれば教えてください。大丈夫です。なんかもし英語で言いたかったら英語で言ってもいいし、もし分からないところがあれば補足もできるので、どちらでも大丈夫です。
甲状首のをすることは甲状腺がんになった人の早期発見早期治療につなげるためです。あと将来はやる必要がないと思います。
今はまだやってる？
今年はやってなくて、中学校3年生まで15歳まではやってます。去年まではやってます。
で、15歳になるまでは福島の子は今もやる。
ずっとやると思います。お願いすればいつでもキャンセルできるけど。
So, okay, then I will explain like why why they do check their neck. So just because they want to detect the cancer as soon as possible. And also he said like until they get 15 years old, they need to check that they need to be checked every year. But after that, they don't need to. But if they request it, they can take that treatment as well.
So the first one is, you mentioned that children are not allowed to play outside in the beginning, but for how long were they not allowed to play outside and touch the grass? Should I repeat? Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, so you mentioned that you were not allowed to play outside as children. Are you how long were you not allowed to play outside and touch the grass and the trees and so on? Yes, should I take it? Okay. So the second question is, it's for, I guess, Honami. So you introduced a song. Would you sing it for us? You know. Please. No?
一つ目のクエスチョンから。
まず1つ目の質問が冒頭で福島で育った子どもたちが外で遊べない時期が長く続いて、落ち葉を拾ったり植物に触ることができなかったっていうお話があったと思うんですけど、それは実際にどれくらいの期間続いたのかっていうのを教えてください。
それは俺だ。分かる人いる？答える？いいよ、自分の感覚でいいの。
これでごめんなさい。ありがとうございます。記憶が曖昧というか時間の流れが今と違うので合っているかはわからないんですが、私の記憶だと4年ぐらいは続きました。小学校に入ってやっとだんだんと触っていいよとは言われなかったんですけど、触っても怒られなくなってきたイメージという記憶があるような気がします。すいません。
So it's been long years, so I don't remember that well. But as long as I remember, when I entered the elementary school, although no one said that you can play outside, but no one said you cannot play outside. Then I feel that gradually we are allowed to play outside and touch the ground. Yeah, I just feel like that.
これは個人とか家庭とか地域とか学校とかそれぞれ放射線の量は違うし、それに対する不安も大きさが違うので、全く気にしてない人はもちろん放射能の負担が少ない地域もあるので、福島の子どもたちでも普通に遊んでいる子たちもいたし、2年か3年することによって少しずつ放射線量が下がっていったり、除染のクリーニングをして放射能のレベルが少しずつ下がっていったので、遊べるようになった子どもたちもいますし、もちろん今でも住めない地域もあるから、そういう地域は他のこのスピーチにもありましたけど、中にも入れない、もちろん草には触れない地域は今でも残っています。
So this topic is really dependent on people, how much do they care, and it's also really depending on the regions. So in some region, after the cleaning, it's allowed to play outside, but there's still a region that where people cannot play outside or touch the ground. So there's still some regions. で、2つ目の質問に行きます。群青の歌のお話をされてたと思うんですが、私たちのために少しだけ歌を披露していただくこととかってできたりしますかっていう質問でした。
Well, you said some of you would support renewable energy in Japan. Do you plan to study such a topic here in Germany, or what kind of information do you like to seek from Germany in the topic of renewable energy?
何人かの、学生が再生可能エネルギーについて興味があるとおっしゃっていて、どんな情報をドイツで求めているのか、またもし高校生でこれから大学で学ぶ予定とかがあるとしたら、そのような内容について学ぶ予定があるのかとか聞きたいです。
その質問に答えるその質問に答える前に、今日ホテルで休んでるもう一人の子と今オンラインにつながったので、最後の一人のスピーチがもう一人終わってから今の質問に答える感じでいいですか？
So before we start, the student who couldn't come here today because of the sickness just appeared. So is it okay for us to just let her speak, and then after that we'll get answer to that question.
降りようか、そっち降りようか。最後にしようと思ったんですけど、僕のパソコンがあと 11% しかないのでバッテリーがちょっと先にやっちゃいます。7いけますか？
はい。
はい、お願いします。
はい。Hello, my name is Nanamoto. I'm 16 years old. I'd like to introduce my daily life. Have you ever lived a life like this? Split some firewood and heat up the bathwater. And in the cold season, we warm ourselves by putting charcoal in the sunken kotatsu. Kotatsu a table heated from underneath in the living room. My grandfather made the charcoal by cutting wood and burning it. He made a lot for us so that we wouldn't be in trouble even after he passed away. We put charcoal in a big brazier and use it as a stove. We have rice, and we have meat, and spend time with our family at the sunken kotatsu. For me, this is a normal way of life. But this might be unfamiliar for many people. So today, I would like to introduce my daily life. The way to use the sunken kotatsu is to place several pieces of charcoal around the ash. When it gets too hot, cover it with some ash around it. On the other hand, when it gets cold, move the ash away to adjust the temperature. Electricity. The sunken kotatsu is warmer than the electric kotatsu. When we go out somewhere, we cover the charcoal with ash to avoid a fire breaking out. Also, the walls of my grandmother's house are made of mud plaster. The walls are made using a technique called takekomai. In which bamboo is woven and then coated with clay to create a traditional wall construction. It has excellent ability. For example, it keeps a house cool in summer and warm in winter. Recently, summer has been very hot, so I planted morning glories outside the window where the sunlight enters the room in order to relieve the heat. Furthermore, we use well water from a nearby mountain for domestic waters. It is tastier than the mineral water sold at convenience stores. Rice cooked with well water is also excellent. We harvest rice and receive vegetables from our neighbors. We plant rice in May and harvest it in October. When we can't use electricity, we put rice in a pressure cooker and cook it on a stirring a charcoal stove. When we cook rice on a stirring, the rice gets a little burnt and crusty at the bottom and tastes great. Even if a disaster happens and the lifelines don't work, my grandmother's household is not affected at all. We can still take a bath and use the toilet. We have rice, so we won't have to worry about meals. However, as it gets dark, I have no choice but to sleep. Light. Nowadays, we can turn on the lights and work or watch TV even after it gets dark. But I think the idea of going to bed when it gets dark is healthy and wonderful. In today's society, people work late at night and stay up late. Maybe I think we are wasting electricity. Energy. The current global thinking is to change into renewable energy and to stop global warming. But I think if we use less electricity, we will need less renewable energy. If everyone lives like my grandmother's life, the electricity amount will be less. Also, I think the amount of electricity used would be less than the amount of electricity produced. Don't you think so? Electricity, light, energy. Do you think we really need the electricity we use too much every day? Thank you.
じゃあ、せっかくなので、ドイツに来てのなんか感想を一言でもいいから言ってください。英語で。
英語で。
はい、ありがとうございます。ドイツに来ての感想を一言でもどうぞ。
はい。英語で。はい。I'm surprised that many buildings are colorful and German is very kind. And Germany is longer. Germany's food is very delicious. Thank you.
じゃあそのままみんな上がってこようか。みんな上がってこようか。もうそろそろ時間がなるので、もう終わります。はい、さっきの質問に答えれる人、もう一回質問覚えてるでしょ。 つけなくていいよ、つけなくていい。手に持ってて。
I wanted to know how Germany adapt renewable energy in life, and I thought tomorrow I went to big big mall shopping center, and it was soるからエアコンがいらなくていいなって思ったり、あとはなんだっけ、そんな感じです。そうです。
So when I visited the Berlin Central Station, I noticed that there is a floor that collects the sunlight pretty effectively. So I thought it's a good idea because there you don't need air conditioner, just to have natural light. Yeah, that's something I noticed. And
で、まだ何かありますか？
大丈夫です。
So
終わりです。
Yeah, that's it. That's
他ありますか？
our
誰か。正解のいい。
observations.
誰でもいいよ。もうないの？以上？
I surprised. Germany have a ticket to get the train and bus, so it is a good way to less the energy from a car. And Japan is have a car is many car, but here is not a traffic light. I know. Traffic jam. So I think it is really surprise, and it's really good for less the energy. Thank you.
So she was just talking about the use of Deutschland ticket. So because of that ticket, we don't need to use car a lot. So it was something that she was so admired about, how people are thinking about using less cars and using more public transportations. And is there anything if you want to ask more, or any comments about their speech? Anything else? Yep.
So maybe I can add a little bit context on how we deal with energy in Germany. And maybe I say one or two sentences and then you can translate.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
ドイツが再生可能エネルギーをどのように使っているのかについて文脈を僕が今から補足します。
So in Germany we have pretty thick walls. Let's say, for example, a 30 centimeter big stone wall. And then we have insulation, right? Styrofoam insulation, like plastic or something. So in total, maybe 45 centimeter wall. And this wall makes it so that in summer is not getting too hot inside, and in winter is not getting cold. So the heat is staying in the house. And in Japan, from what I've seen, is pretty thin walls. So that's how we save energy, for example. We save on heating, and we don't have ACs in Germany.
一つにどうやってドイツが
暖房や冷房を節約しているかっていうのをお伝えします。まずドイツの壁は30センチぐらいで厚くて、その石でできた壁の隣にプラスチックのインストレーションっていう層もあって、だいたいそう60 centimeters in total orそう平均で約60センチぐらいの隙間があります。隙間というかその壁と壁と部屋と部屋の間とか外と中をつなぐ、壁があって、それによって夏は暑く、外の熱が入りにくいし、冬は保温、中の空気を外に逃がさず効率的に使うことができています。
And the more energy saving we build our houses, the more financial support we get from the government. So if we make the walls even thicker, for example, or other things to save energy, the more the government helps you with money, with building the house.
そうドイツでは政府から家を建てる際に受けられる補助金があって、どれだけ自分たちの家がエコフレンドリーで環境に配慮しているかによってその額が変わります。配慮すれば配慮するほどより多くのお金をもらえるので、それが私たちが環境をより守ろうと思うモチベーションにもなっています。
Yeah, so one more thing, I don't want to hijack all the question slots, but in Germany we're slowly moving from gas and oil heating to electric heat pump, which has a like 300 or 400% efficiency, which is a lot more efficient than oil or gas. And the government is currently giving up to 70% of the installation cost back. So if it's, for example, let's say $30,000, and then the government gives you $20,000 back, and you only have to pay $10,000 because they want to support, that.
It's also for building the houses, or like in general.
In general, if you want to make the switch from oil or from gas, because it's like fossil resource, then you can just switch, and then you can get up to 70%. Even if you have 20-year-old house or 50-year-old house.
Yeah. Not for the complete house, but just for the energy system. Yes.
Okay. ドイツでは電力システムの切り替えを行う際にまた補助金を受けるシステムがあります。例えば石油やガスなどの化石燃料から電気電気の暖房システムに変える際は最大で 70% まで補助を受けることができます。でこれは家のを建てるためのすべてのコストの 70% ではなく、その切り替えにかかるための 70% のコストを国が負担してくれているので 30% しか実質自分たちは負担しなくてよくなるので、そういったことからなんか家の電力システムの見直しとか切り替えとかが進んでいることもあるよっていうのを最後に付け加えておきます。
Do you gonna visit another city here in Germany, or do you visit another country at the next step of your journey, or do you regularly each year, or what's your plan for the next?
今はベルリンを訪れていると思うんですけど、これからは他のドイツの都市に行く予定があったり、他の国に行ったり、それとかまた来年とか何かがあったり、これからの将来の予定とか旅程を教えてください。
まずこのいった工程をどこからどう記述の説明したいかついてどこか。
We stay here for 17 days, and we arrived here August 1st. And we stay here for 17 days, and we visited Mainz and Düsseldorf, and here Berlin. And we moved to Dresden for a week to host family, yeah, and moved to Frankfurt, and that'll be all. And we go to transit to Sri Lanka, and we have a sightseeing plan too there. So that will be exciting, yeah.
I want to thank you that you came to Germany and tell your stories, because in my opinion it's very important, the storytelling, because people lost everything with the time, and it's very, very important every time to repeat the story. It's the same as an atom bomb, it's the same as a tsunami, very, very important, so I want to thank you.
まずはあなたたちのスピーチに関して、最大限の感謝を送りたいです。記憶とともに、すいません、時間とともに記憶は薄れていくので、こうやってあなたたちが自分たちの津波のストーリーであったり、被爆の体験を繰り返して伝えることはとても大きな意味があることだと思っています。本当にありがとうございました。
どうして
I had one question at the start, similar to this gentleman here. How do you deal with the fear of being, you said, of the fear of getting sick because of the radiation, like. 放射線で病気になるのは怖いですか？どうやって対処しますか？
誰か答えられますか？
まず前提として、お医者さんがもう、被爆、震災が起こって、事故が起こって、それからしばらくして病気になってない人はもうならないっていうふうにおっしゃっているのを聞いたことがあるので、私自身はならないと分かっているので、放射線によるがんについては正直気にしていません。万が一なったとしても今は医療が発達していて対処法はいくらでもあるので、お医者さんと相談して決めれればいいんじゃないかなっていうふうに思っています。
So actually, I'm not having any worry about it because I once heard that the doctor is saying that if you don't get any symptom after a while, you won't get cancer anymore. And even I would have such a cancer, I believe that thanks to the current development of all the technologies and medicines, I'm sure there will be a way to recover from that.
甲状腺がんになったことがみんなないので、なかなかそれを実感して答えるのは非常に難しい質問だなというふうに思います。ドネーション、please だけど実際僕は甲状腺がんになった子供と会ったことがあります。そうするとここに首の跡が、僕みたいに首の跡が残って、その当時の福島の子供たちは甲状腺って言っていじめられたりすることもありました。すごく辛い思いをした子供たちをいっぱい産んで、いじめられるのが嫌で福島の中でいじめられるから福島県外に避難していったというか、急に引っ越した子たちも数多くいました。これはそっとも言わずに避難していくので、なんでお父さんの転勤かな、何なのかなと思いながら転校になっちゃいましたっていうのを後から聞くだけなので、みんな甲状腺がんになった子たちを知らない人たちがいっぱいいますけど、辛い思いをしている子どもたちは今いっぱいいるし、100万人に1人しか生まれないはずの甲状腺がんがこの福島県から80人出て、95人出て、115人出て、180人になって200人超えてってどんどん増えていって、この福島には子どもたちはその100万人も住んでいないのに、ちょっと統計学上おかしな数字が出てるのは事実です。同時に甲状腺がんになると、すみません長くなって、甲状腺がんになるとホルモン剤を死ぬまで一生飲み続けなきゃいけないという辛いことが起きてきます。これはなった人にしか辛さは分かりません。僕もなってないのでその代弁するのは難しいですが、すごくストレスを受けながら東電とか政府相手に裁判して頑張っている人たちもいるので、僕はその人にも敬意を示しながら福島の子どもたちの支援を続けています。以上です。
So honestly saying, it's really hard to assume how they feel about being how they feel about their cancers, because none of us have ever get the cancer. But I once met our child who have got that cancer, and if you get the cancer, you will have remark with his neck, and because of that, he got bullied a lot, and he had to run away from his hometown Fukushima, and because he didn't say anything to his friends or his teachers, everyone was wondering why did he leave Fukushima so suddenly. So, but it's the truth. A lot of children had to go away from Fukushima because they know that because of the remarks they will get bullied. And it's surprisingly true that we have in Fukushima we have around 200 children who got cancer, and if you get the cancer, you need to take the medicine so regularly, so like dangerous until you die. And so I just want to say it's so stressful to have that cancer, and although we couldn't imagine how hard it is, we've been supporting that children's for recovering from the cancer. So we really appreciate the donations and support of our activities and our engagement.
もう予定の時間をちょっと超えてしまったので一旦ここで終わりますけど、 皆さんご参加いただきありがとうございました。で、もしちょっと聞きたいことがあれば終わってからちょっと聞いてもらったら、そのコース構成が英語で喋れる子が答えてくれると思うので、ぜひ個別に聞いてあげてください。今日はありがとうございました。
So suddenly it's a good time to end, and if you have any questions or any comments to the students, please feel free to come after the official closing. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
ありがとうございました。
皆さんの英語はもっと完璧ですと全部が分かりました。
あなたの日本語も完璧です。多分この jdzb の先生がいいでしょうね。じゃあちょっとグループショット撮りたいので前に来てもらっていいですか。他の方々もここでそこでちょっと一段下に降りれるかな。降りれる。
So now we'll make a group photo. So could you please come in the front and then take a good picture together, if you don't mind? Yeah. ありがとうございます。
これ電気は全部これでマックスですよね。いいですか、これで。後ろのおじさんがちょっと前に降りようかな。
Can you step one step forward? Sure.
Good? Good?
Everything should be fine.
Thank you so much. 何でしたところ？たまたま来た。すごいね。That's so interesting.
Er hat Kissen nach hinten. Der hat Kissen nach hinten.
Achso. ja, stimmt.
I think it's a very good work you make.